Every zombie was becoming twice as strong. But Wen Yan possessed the one advantage capable of breaking the apocalypse itself. Every zombie he killed became energy, and every point could transform ordinary junk into terrifying weapons from the future. A cheap decorative sword became a flame-wreathed battle blade before the first infected creature could break through his bedroom door. A plastic toy pistol became a real handgun, proving his civilization spark system could rewrite an item's material, design, and function. Later upgrades produced explosive hand cannons, gravity grenades, plasma weapons, reinforced vehicles, powered armor, and ammunition sustained by energy, while the undead gained intelligence, speed, armor, and monstrous new bodies. Wen Yan's arsenal kept evolving beyond normal human limits. Weapon upgrades eventually felt like a 999 times range boost, while kills replenished energy, so his ammunition loop never truly ended. In a world where every new zombie wave was stronger than the last, his weapons had no meaningful upgrade ceiling. That broken advantage did not make survival easy, because his younger sister was trapped 10 kilometers away inside a university dorm. To reach her, Wen Yan would have to cross a collapsing city, fight awakened mutants, and survive enemies who were still human. The nightmare began after a brutal night of drinking, when an explosion jolted him awake on the sofa. He staggered toward the balcony expecting a traffic accident, only to witness civilization tearing itself apart below. Wen Yan propped his head up with one hand and tried to recall what had happened the previous day. He remembered drinking at a friend's place, but everything after that was a blank. Hundreds of pedestrians lay collapsed on the pavement. Some stirred back to consciousness while others had turned into zombies. They were lunging at the unaffected ordinary people around them. An out-of-control sedan had crashed into a roadside wall and blown up. That was the explosion he just heard. His heart lurched, and he spun around to glance at the entrance. His blood ran cold when he saw the door was slightly ajar. Left unlatched, he sprinted toward the door to slam it closed. His footsteps alerted the zombie lingering outside. Before he could reach the threshold, the door was yanked open, and the creature charged straight at him with a raucous snarl. The zombie slammed its fists against the door without stopping, snarling ferociously on the other side. Just then, a voice echoed inside his head. Civilization spark system binding complete. Wen Yan stiffened, then quickly spoke aloud. System, what can you do? The bedroom door shook violently, and faint creaking sounds came from the lock. No reply came, and his heart sank. Lines of text suddenly floated into view over the door. Item, ordinary wooden door material upgrade, cost 10 energy points. Design upgrade cost 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost 10 energy points. Modification cost 50 energy points. Current energy points 100. Wen Yan's eyes lit up as he realized the system let him upgrade items. An idea popped into his head. He silently thought, upgrade this sword, and more lines of text appeared before him. Item, low quality. Tang horizontal sword material upgrade, cost 10 energy points. Sharpness upgrade cost 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost 10 energy points. Modification cost 50 energy points. Current energy points 100. The matching cost revealed that the system priced comparable upgrades consistently. Wen Yan didn't pause with a thought. He selected every upgrade option except modification. The sword in his hands rippled with transformation. Its formerly rough surface grew sleek and refined. He hefted it. Noticing it had also gained weight. He drew the blade from its sheath in one sharp motion. Sparks showered outward, and a wave of heat washed over him. The blade blazed with roaring flames. He slid the sword back into its sheath, and the fire faded, along with the warmth. He turned back to the door. He thought silently. Upgrade this windbreaker. A new text popped up. Item windbreaker set. Material upgrade? Cost? 10 energy points. Design upgrade cost. 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost. 10 energy points. Modification cost 50 energy points. Current energy points 70. He selected all 3 standard upgrades. His windbreaker reshaped into a tactical combat uniform just as the door burst open and the zombie lunged. His gaze hardened. The blade cut through flesh as easily as soft butter, severing the zombie's head. He could now see the zombie wore a janitor's uniform. Cell service was still available. He had originally planned to call his younger sister Wen Yishu, who was at university. What if she was hiding somewhere quiet, trying to avoid drawing zombies, little sister? How's your side of things? I'm completely safe here. Now that he had a moment to spare, he turned his attention to figuring out the new system. He summoned the item information panel. Lines of text floated into sight once again. Item, kerosene. Tang Tang horizontal sword. Description: a finely crafted ultra-sharp Tang horizontal sword. Its sheath holds kerosene and flint stones, igniting flames along the blade every time it is drawn. The fire came from the kerosene mechanism inside the sheath. Item, military tactical combat uniform. Description: a high-grade tactical uniform with excellent breathability, waterproof coating, and moderate physical damage resistance. A thought struck him. If the system could upgrade any item, could he turn a toy gun into a real firearm? He acted on the idea at once, rummaging around the room until he found a plastic toy Glock pistol that fired foam darts. With quiet anticipation, he thought. Upgrade item, plastic toy handgun material upgrade, cost 20 energy points. Design upgrade cost 20 energy points. Function upgrade cost 20 energy points. Modification cost 100 energy points. Current energy points 42. Wen Yan noted the slight increase in his energy total. He must have gained points from killing the janitor zombie. After careful consideration, he chose to upgrade the material and design specifications only. The plastic toy gun twisted and reshaped in his grasp, transforming into a heavy metallic Glock pistol. He pulled out the magazine to inspect it. The foam darts had been replaced with 17 brass 9mm rounds. He focused his thoughts once more, and the item stats panel appeared. Item Glock pistol description: a base model Glock handgun with no aftermarket attachments, holding a maximum of 17 9mm rounds per magazine. Reading the description filled him with a strong sense of security. He tucked the pistol into the holster sewn onto his tactical uniform's waistband. A notification pinged on his phone. He picked it up to see a message from his sister. "Brother, I'm fine. I'm locked in my dorm room. Luckily, I don't have classes today. All my roommates left for lectures, so I'm alone here." A weight lifted off his chest after reading her reply. He typed back quickly. "I'm glad you're all right. How much food do you have to last you?" It took her a while to respond. "I've got some snacks and instant noodles. Probably enough for 2 or 3 days at most." Wen Yan frowned. 2 or 3 days wasn't nearly enough time. The streets were overrun with zombies, and her university campus was more than 10 kilometers away. There would surely be hordes of the creatures inside the school grounds. 2. He fired off another urgent message. "Little sister, stay dead silent in your room and do not step outside for any reason. Never open the door, no matter who knocks." Zhang Hao, his closest friend. There are zombies everywhere outside. He pulled on silicone gloves and a disposable face mask, then dragged the headless zombie corpse from his bedroom to the front entrance. No zombies lingered outside before hauling the body out the front door. He mopped up all the bloodstains in the bedroom, slung the full backpack over his shoulders, and stepped outside. He locked his door and turned to head for the stairwell. The door of the apartment directly opposite his swung open. "Did you two need anything?" He'd only ever exchanged casual greetings with the neighbors. They'd never been close. Besides, you might not even make it back alive. What's the harm in handing over your key? He kept advancing, closing the gap until less than a meter separated them. One hand clamped down on Wen Yan's wrist to pin his sword arm. The other grabbed the blade scabbard, and he slammed his shoulder hard into Wen Yan's chest. Caught off guard, Wen Yan crashed to the floor. The sword slipped out of his grasp and landed in the man's hands. A sharp pain bloomed in his chest from the impact. The man let out a cold snarl and drew the sword, waves of heat rolling off the flaming blade. His eyes lit up with greed as he admired the weapon. What a magnificent blade! No wonder it could chop a zombie's head clean off. The woman beside him nodded rapidly, her face glowing with envy. "You're brilliant, honey." Both of them were too fixated on the sword to notice Wen Yan, still sprawled on the floor. He had pulled the pistol from his waistband and racked a bullet into the chamber with a crisp click. The man tilted the blazing sword toward the ground and twisted to leer down at him. The bullet struck the man square in the head. A second shot hit her square in the chest. Wen Yan holstered the pistol. retrieved his sword from the man's lifeless hand, and sprinted down the hallway toward the stairs after unlocking the building's main safety door. If zombies clustered around the elevator lobby, he would be trapped with no escape route. He moved as quietly as he could to avoid drawing attention, knowing the 2 gunshots had likely alerted every zombie within earshot. He made it to the ground floor without incident and spotted several zombies loitering outside the building's security gate. None of them knew how to work the locking mechanism to get inside. No zombies blocked this entrance as he'd feared. Stepping into the garage, he scanned the area and spotted only 2 wandering zombies nearby. He wasted no time walking toward his parking spot. The 2 creatures spotted him and charged with snarls. Fear had faded from his system after his first encounter. He unlocked his SUV and slid into the driver's seat, thinking upgrade item to pull up the system panel. Lines of text appeared in front of his eyes. Item fuel-powered SUV, material upgrade, cost 200 energy points. Power source upgrade, cost 200 energy points. Function upgrade cost 200 energy points. Modification cost 1,000 energy points. Current energy points 5. Wen Yan furrowed his brow. If each zombie awarded 2 energy points, his total should have been 6. It seemed the point reward varied depending on the individual zombie. Zombies swarmed toward the car, drawn by the engine's roar, slamming their bodies against the vehicle's exterior. Wen Yan stayed calm and slammed his foot on the gas, plowing straight through every zombie in his path. He was now within 1 kilometer of Zhang Hao's neighborhood, an old district densely packed with far more wandering zombies. He floored the accelerator and drove deep into the old town, crashing through 7 or 8 zombies along the way. The pursuing zombies milled around below the building, snarling and flailing their arms up at him. He ran across the connected rooftops until he found a stretch clear of zombies, then used the building pipes to climb back down to street level. He'd shaken off the horde, but a few stray wandering zombies spotted him dropping from the roof and charged forward. Roaring, he reached Zhang Hao's residence, a private 4-story self-built house. He pulled a spare key from his pocket. Zhang Hao had given it to him ages ago, so he could drop by any time and unlock the front door to step inside. The door flew open, and Zhang Hao stared at him in complete shock. There are zombies everywhere outside. Zhang Hao gave him a thumbs up. Wen Yan's smile faded, his tone turning serious. Have you gotten in touch with your older sister, Zhang? Hao nodded, his expression heavy with worry. Wen Yan frowned. We can't waste any time. We need to head over to get her right away. I'll pack some essential supplies first. Zhang Hao turned to head back into his room. Wen Yan suddenly remembered his friend had no weapon yet and spoke up. It's probably not great for fighting off zombies. Isn't it? Wen Yan didn't answer him directly, taking the staff into his own hands and thinking silently. Upgrade? Hollow metal staff material? Upgrade cost 10 energy points. Design upgrade cost 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost 10 energy points. Modification cost 50 energy points. Current energy points 32? Wen Yan glanced at his remaining energy count and raised an eyebrow. He had exactly enough points to unlock all 3 standard upgrade options. The staff rippled with transformation in his grasp. Its surface grew etched with delicate carvings, and the metal felt smooth and perfectly balanced in his palm. He twirled it through a few fluid staff flourishes with one hand, then thought. Item information. Item premium voice-activated telescopic metal staff description. Zhang Hao, who was checking his backpack nearby, looked over at the sound. Wen Yan tossed a stone to lure a wandering zombie over, then gestured toward Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao nodded, white-knuckling the staff as a thin layer of sweat beaded on his forehead. The zombie snarled and charged straight at Zhang Hao. Wen Yan tightened his grip on his blade, ready to rush in and back him up at a moment's notice if things went south. Zhang Hao watched the zombie close, in less than 2 meters away from him. He suddenly let out a sharp shout and swung the golden staff hard into the zombie's skull. The blow sent the zombie staggering to the ground. He raised the staff again and again, slamming it relentlessly into the zombie's head. Wen Yan hurried over, grabbed Zhang Hao, and pulled him aside. Zhang Hao finally froze, staring at the mangled zombie on the ground. Though Wen Yan had grown somewhat accustomed to killing zombies, the gruesome sight turned his stomach, and he doubled over vomiting beside Zhang Hao. Between retches, he glanced at his remaining energy points. Current energy points 4, Wen Yan thought to himself. So, energy points count. even when someone else lands the killing blow on a zombie. The two men recovered after a few minutes of heaving. By then, the noise they'd made had drawn several more wandering zombies, all snarling as they charged toward them. Wen Yan shot an exasperated glance at Zhang Hao. "Watch how I take care of these things." He drew his long blade, flames coiling around its edge, and charged the horde. With one clean slash, he severed the head of the leading zombie, his movements smooth and fluid. After beheading the last zombie, he struck what he thought was a cool pose and glanced back at Zhang Hao, who stood there dumbfounded. Zhang Hao stared longingly at the flame-wreathed blade in his hands. The pair slipped back toward Wen Yan's SUV, only to find dozens of zombies swarming all around the vehicle. He thought quickly and came up with a plan. Lure a few zombies into the alley with stones each time, then work together to eliminate them one by one. Zhang Hao glanced at Wen Yan, silently asking for his call. Wen Yan whispered back to the man, "We can't. I barely have any food left at home." He turned away and ignored the man entirely. A wild glint flashed across the man's eyes. He retreated into his room to grab a megaphone, and as he reached for it, a blackening scratch wound on his forearm was clearly visible. Wen Yan and Zhang Hao tossed another stone, planning to draw more zombies over to kill, when a shrill static buzz cut through the air from the balcony above. "You're turning, and you want to drag us down with you." He pulled out his Glock pistol, aimed at the man, and squeezed the trigger. "I'll let you fight an endless horde." They turned to flee, only to see massive swarms of zombies pouring in from every road, path, and alley surrounding them. There were at least 100 of them. Wen Yan gritted his teeth and glanced at the 20 or so zombies still clustered around the SUV. Their only shot was to get in the vehicle and ram their way out. He shouted to Zhang Hao over the snarls. How we fight our way to the car, adrenaline surged through Zhang Hao, and he roared back, "Let's kill them all." The two charged a group of 20 zombies, with Wen Yan taking the lead. He wore military combat armor, which offered far better protection against scratches than Zhang Hao's leather suit. They cut through the horde like wolves among sheep. Wen Yan's wide, sweeping blade strikes often took down 2 or 3 zombies at once. Ha hung back a little more cautiously, finishing off any zombies Wen Yan missed. A single blow from his staff usually knocked a zombie flat, and he followed up with extra strikes to make sure they stayed down. Dozens of zombies fell quickly. Several zombies managed to claw at Wen Yan during the fight, but none of their scratches pierced his combat uniform, running over several zombies blocking their path along the way. The two reworked their route to search for Zhang Hao's sister, picking a less traveled main road with far fewer people. Wen Yan checked his energy points again. Current energy points 76. He had no plans to hoard them. Rescuing Zhang Hao's sister meant clearing countless zombies inside a multi-story building, and the risk would skyrocket. He pulled the Glock from his waist and poured his remaining energy into upgrading all its functional modules. He glanced at Zhang Hao's leather suit, figuring his friend could use better defensive gear. 2. A mischievous grin tugged at his lips as he turned to Zhang Hao in the back seat. "I'm upgrading it for you." Skeptical and awkward, Zhang Hao stripped off his leather jacket and pants and passed them over. Once inside, there was a limitation to his system. He could only upgrade items he held or wore directly. Item synthetic leather suit material upgrade cost 10 energy points. Design upgrade cost 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost 10 energy points. Full modification cost 50 energy points. Current remaining energy points. He unlocked all 3 upgrade options at once. Item reinforced. Composite leather suit description. Crafted from thick cowhide, layered with carbon fiber. This suit balances breathability and comfort. Zhang Hao rubbed his eyes, staring at the transformed suit as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Zhang Hao thumped his chest confidently. Zhang Hao's sister worked in a remote office building, so they encountered very few zombies along the drive. Wen Yan ignored the security guard zombies snarling trapped inside the booth, ran through the lift gate, and pulled up to the office building entrance. They jumped out of the SUV and swiftly took down the few zombies that charged after them, then headed up the fire stairs toward the floor where Zhang Hao's sister's office was located. They barely ran into any zombies on the stairwell. They reached the 8th floor, Zhang Jia's workplace, and pushed open the fire exit door, only for several zombies to lunge at them the second the door creaked open. They stepped into the main office space where dozens more zombies roared and rushed toward them. Loose paper swirled through the air, leaving only a handful of zombies with a clear path to attack the two men. Wen Yan sliced through several zombies with his flame-wreathed blade, and the fire clinging to the metal ignited a few floating sheets of paper. A fire here would be a death sentence. They could burn alive before the zombies even got to them. He stared uneasily at his flaming blade, unsure whether to keep swinging it or sheath it. He did his best to avoid the floating paper while fighting, leaving most of the zombies for Zhang Hao, who twirled his golden staff with thunderous force. Once the last zombie fell, Wen Yan patted Zhang Hao's shoulder in praise. Zhang Hao grinned smugly. Of course, you know who you're hanging with. Wen Yan rolled his eyes and flicked his forehead. Hurry and look for your sister. She's waiting for you to get her out. Zhang Hao pulled out his phone to text her for her exact location, only to find there was no cell service at all. Inside the executive president's office, they had spotted two zombies lingering near each other by the desk. Wen Yan had muttered a thought about how privileged people live differently in the old world, then beheaded both zombies with a single slash each. Zhang Hao supported his shaky sister as she stepped out of the cramped closet, and Wen Yan smiled and greeted her. Hi, Sister Jai. Zhang Jia forced a weak smile back at him. Wen Yan waved it off. Can you walk before they left? Zhang Hao rinsed all the blood off his staff. I'm heading to the university to rescue my little sister next. Zhang Hao glanced at his sister, unsure how to answer. He wanted to stick by Wen Yan, but bringing his sister along would put her in grave danger. I'm not strong enough to fight zombies, but I can drive and cook. Wen Yan analyzed their plan aloud. My sister's university is built on a mountain campus, home to thousands of students. By the way, do either of you know a shop nearby that sells leather riding gear? Zhang Hao scratched his head, deep in thought. The area was isolated, and not a single zombie roamed the streets nearby. Without a word, Zhang Hao raised his golden staff and smashed it down. He took one leather suit set and unlocked all 3 upgrade tiers, then changed into the enhanced gear. The upgraded composite leather suit clung snugly to his frame, filling him with a powerful sense of safety. He picked up a full-face helmet and slipped it on, silently thinking the word upgrade. Item standard full-face riding helmet. Material upgrade cost 10 energy points. Design upgrade cost 10 energy points. Function upgrade cost 10 energy points. Full modification cost 50 energy points. Current remaining energy points. He poured all the required energy into maxing out every upgrade tier. The clear visor transformed into a transparent holographic screen displaying real-time temperature, humidity, and other environmental data. He mentally pulled up the item stats. Item multifunctional combat helmet description. Satisfied with the upgrade, he pressed a button on the side of the helmet, and the visor lifted smoothly upward. Is this some kind of superhuman ability? It was easier to pass his strange power off as a special ability than to explain a system. It arched its back, hissing. Its eyes locked unblinkingly on Wen Yan, drew his flaming blade, and roared. Zhang Hao, protect your sister! His shout enraged the mutated cat. Wen Yan raised his blade to meet the charge, and the creature flinched at the sudden burst of flame. In that split second of hesitation, the metal blade sliced deep into one of its front limbs. The mutated cat yowled in agony and retreated several paces. It feinted a lunge toward Wen Yan, and he instinctively swung his blade to counter. The moment the blade left his guard, he realized he'd fallen for the trick, leaving a massive opening in his defense. The mutated cat seized the gap instantly, tackling him to the ground and lunging its jaws for his skull. Wen Yan refused to surrender, swinging his blade wildly while pinned to the pavement. From his compromised position, he couldn't muster enough force to land lethal blows, only shallow cuts on the mutated cat's hide. Zhang Hao snuck up behind the mutated cat without anyone noticing, raising the golden cudgel high and smashing it hard against the creature's skull. The mutated cat was dazed by the blow, stars swirling in its eyes as it wobbled its head without stopping. Zhang Liang raised the cudgel to land another strike, but the mutated cat snapped out of its stupor and slammed into him, sending him flying. Wen Yan pushed himself upright and shook his head clear. He watched a mutated cat close in on Zhang Hao, claws raised to strike. He quickly pulled a Glock pistol from his waistband and fired several rounds straight at the beast. All the bullets buried themselves in the mutated cat's dense muscle tissue, failing to pierce through. The pistol couldn't deliver a killing blow, and his longsword only left shallow flesh wounds. The only way to finish it would be to slice its throat, but the mutated cat's lightning-fast reflexes made that nearly impossible. His energy points were just enough to fully modify his longsword. He'd held off on the modification before due to its steep cost, saving points for more critical upgrades. The blade began to shift and reshape. The mutated cat had already lunged straight for him. Instead of retreating, he charged forward with a roar, lifting the reforged blade to meet the attack. The sword slid cleanly through the mutated cat's torso, and the two figures brushed past one another. He glanced over at the mutated tabby cat, nearly split open down the middle. The sword in his grip was sinking downward. Looking down, he saw the blade had melted straight through the pavement, slowly sinking deeper into the ground. He yanked the sword free and pulled up its item stat panel. Item Blazing Battleblade Flame Affinity Description. Consumes 1 energy point per hour once drawn from its sheath. This modified blade was unbelievably powerful. His system's modification function was easily its greatest feature. He slid the sword back into its sheath, then checked his remaining energy points. Current energy points, 50. This single mutated cat had granted him 46 energy points. He turned to glance at Zhang Hao, who was clutching his chest and being helped to his feet by Zhang Jia. Zhang Hao shook his head. Wen Yan walked over and supported Zhang Hao's other side, guiding him toward the vehicle. He retrieved a leather jacket from the trunk, upgraded it with his system, and handed it to Zhang Jia. Zhang Jia nodded, grabbed the upgraded jacket, and stepped inside the store to change. He opened the app and saw dozens of unread messages from his younger sister. Brother, a group of guys are clearing out every dorm room one by one outside. If anything happens to my sister, I'll make every last one of them pay. Zhang Hao leaned over to glance at the phone screen, then fell silent and sank back into his seat. The car crashed into countless zombies along the way. They finally pulled up at the gate of a university. Wen Yan took point to clear zombies ahead. Zhang Jia stayed in the middle, and Zhang Hao covered their rear. Before they even set foot on campus grounds, hordes of zombies swarmed toward them. Wen Yan turned to Zhang Hao and ordered sharply, "Keep Jia safe. Leave these monsters to me." He drew his blazing battle blade and charged straight into the crowd, cutting down foes without mercy. Sometimes a single slash took 2 or 3 zombies at once, their flesh charred to cinders in the process. He no longer feared ordinary zombies at all. They couldn't even scratch his armor. Dozens of the undead fell in mere minutes. He carved through every zombie that crossed his path, leaving carnage in his wake. Amid the slaughter, he failed to notice several agile shadows shifting within the surrounding buildings, slipping into the zombie horde and creeping steadily toward him. Wen Yan had just beheaded 2 zombies when a figure shot toward him at a speed far surpassing regular undead. Sharp, elongated claws lashed out straight for his skull. Caught off guard, Wen Yan stumbled backward. He spun and swung his sword behind him before the mutated zombie could react, slicing clean through its neck. This creature was vastly stronger than ordinary zombies, and it had lain in wait to ambush him if it had gone for his leather jacket instead. Its claws would have torn through his armor with catastrophic consequences. He wove through the zombie mob, cutting them down like stalks of wheat. Item Biomimetic Scale. Leather armor description forged from the hide of an unknown mutated beast. The description continued. Built with honeycomb shock, absorbing layers, and a microfiber biomimetic exoskeleton mesh that enhances athletic performance. He barely had time to process the details before 3 more zombies lunged out from behind him, striking his torso in unison as if coordinating their attack. Luckily, his scale leather armor had finished modifying just moments prior. The 3 zombies' blows only left faint scratches across the scales. He stared at the 3 undead, noting their taut, muscular frames, a stark contrast to the flabby, limp flesh of regular zombies. He dubbed this new threat First-Order Zombies, foiled by their failed assault. The 3 First-Order zombies melted back into the surrounding horde. Most of the ordinary zombies had already been cut down, leaving only 20 or so stragglers. These First-Order zombies lacked complex rational thought. He spotted Zhang Hao and Zhang Jia slipping into a nearby teaching building while the zombies were distracted, and tension eased slightly from his shoulders. 2 more First-Order zombies, bringing the total count to 5. Wave after wave of ordinary zombies continued to surge toward him, And even with his top-tier gear, the pressure weighed heavily on his shoulders. At that moment, one of the first-order zombies pounced at his back. Instead of dodging, Wen Yan twisted and swung his sword backward. The creature's arm was severed clean off, flying through the air and landing amid the zombie horde, where several undead immediately descended to tear it apart. The first-order zombie showed no sign of pain, only a flicker of weariness in its eyes as it scrambled backward. Seizing the opening, Wen Yan sprinted toward the teaching building. The 5 first-order zombies sensed his escape attempt, yet they hesitated to block his path head-on. Intimidated by his flaming blade, only launching sporadic hit-and-run strikes. During his breakout, he took multiple glancing blows, leaving dozens of scratches across his scaled armor. Wen Yan endured the constant harassment from the 5 first-order zombies and finally reached the stairwell entrance of the teaching building. Stacked desks and chairs blocked the stairwell, though a narrow passage had been cleared through the pile, a wall of roaring flames blocking the pursuing zombies outside. Nice work out there, taking on 5 mutated zombies. All by yourself. Wen Yan slid his blazing battle blade back into its sheath and smiled faintly. Thanks for the compliment. I'm Liu Shui, a wind ability user. This is Jiang Zhexuan, a fire ability user. What's your power? Wen Yan tapped the blade at his hip and fabricated a casual lie. I'm Wen Yan. My ability is weapon enchantment. Jiang Zhexuan pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Wen Yan explained. My younger sister is trapped in the girls' dormitory, and I've come to rescue her. As you can see from the chaos outside, are there only 2 ability users among your group? Liu Shui nodded. We tried to break out earlier, but those mutated zombies ambushed us mid-escape. The 2 ability users exchanged a glance and agreed. Jiang Zhexuan spoke first. How about you draw all the zombies' attention at the front, and we provide ranged elemental support from the rear? Why should he bear all the risk while the 2 ability users stayed safely out of harm's way? After a moment of consideration, he relented, even if he forced the pair to join him on the front lines. Their lack of close combat skill would only create openings for the zombies to strike. Worse still, his sister's life hung in the balance, leaving no time to argue over the division of labor. Wen Yan turned to Zhang Hao. What do you make of them? Zhang Hao thought it over briefly before replying. They even moved the stacked chairs to clear a path for us when we reached the stairs. Wen Yan nodded. Dropping the subject, he checked his remaining energy points. Current energy points. 293. His eyes widened in surprise. He pulled 2 full-face helmets from Zhang Jia's backpack, upgraded them with his system, and handed one to each of his companions. Wen Yan pressed a button on the side of his helmet to activate the built-in communication system. Hao Shangjia. Respond if you copy. Zhang Hao, hand over your weapon to me. Hao did not hesitate, passing his staff over without question. Wen Yan gripped the weapon and whispered, Modify, item premium retractable iron staff, energy points required for modification, current energy points 50. The simple retractable rod transformed fully into a replica of the golden cudgel. Item energy battle staff description. Every strike unleashes a high energy pulse from both ends. Consumes 1 energy point every 100 hits. Staring at the battle staff stats, Wen Yan suddenly found his blazing battle blade far less impressive. He reluctantly handed the energy battle staff to Zhang Hao and walked him through every detail of its operation. Zhang Hao's eyes lit up brighter with each explanation, running his palms over the staff's surface, utterly enamored with the weapon. Leaving the ecstatic Liang to admire his new gear, Wen Yan pulled out his well-used Glock pistol and muttered, Modify item. Fully customized Glock pistol energy points required for modification. Current energy points 100. Item, plasma pulse. Pistol, high temperature pulse description. A fully customized plasma sidearm with a maximum effective range of 50 m. Consumes 1 energy point after 30 shots fired. He holstered the pistol. What would happen if he modified medical supplies? He pulled a box of ibuprofen capsules from his backpack and opened the upgrade menu item. Ibuprofen, pain relief capsules, energy for packaging, upgrade, energy for potency upgrade, 2 points, energy for function upgrade, 2 points total energy for full modification, 10 points, current energy points. He skipped the cosmetic packaging upgrade and selected potency and function enhancements instead. He pulled up the updated item description. Item: high potency pain relief capsules. Description: item: combat capsules. Pain immunity. Description: it grants 1 full hour of complete immunity to pain and exhaustion, alongside minor continuous wound regeneration. He stared at the combat capsules with satisfaction, perfectly suited to their current desperate situation if modified medicine yielded such powerful effects. He pulled out a chocolate energy bar and opened the upgrade panel again. Item: nut chocolate bar energy for packaging upgrade. 2 points. Energy for potency upgrade. 2 points energy for function upgrade. 2 points total energy for full modification. 10 points. Current energy points. Once again, he ignored the packaging upgrade and chose potency and function enhancements. Item: high energy nutrition bar. Item: super energy bar reaction boost. The super energy bar paired with combat capsules formed an unstoppable combat combination. He bit into the energy bar stuffed in his mouth. He polished off the rest of the energy bar in a few quick bites, still craving more. One team of boys was led by Jiang Jishuan, and the other all-girl team was headed by Liu Shuiyu. They stood guard at the 2 separate stairwells. They spotted Wen Yan and his 2 companions emerging from the classroom. They all swarmed over. The energy bar's effects had fully kicked in. If the 3 of us team up, we'll wipe out all these zombies for good. Wen Yan nodded again without another word and walked alone down the stairs. Zhang Hao moved to follow him. Zhang Hao halted and gave a slight nod. Wen Yan lowered his helmet visor, drew his battle blade, and hacked apart the tangled desks and chairs blocking his path. He strode outside onto the open campus ground. The zombies caught the scent of living humans and lurched toward him. The first-order zombies hiding in shadowy corners also stirred restlessly. One first-order zombie lost its patience and lunged straight for Wen Yan before it could close in a ball of fire from a distance swallowed it whole. The death of that first-order zombie did not scare the others off. Instead, more mutants stepped out of the shadows and charged at Wen Yan. Wen Yan sliced through an ordinary zombie's head with one swing of his blade and scanned his surroundings. He realized the original 5 first-order zombies had multiplied. 7 of them were now closing in on him. A wind blade sliced through the air, lopping the head off another first-order zombie with pinpoint accuracy. 3 first-order zombies rushed him all at once, and a faint smirk tugged at Wen Yan's lips. He rolled sideways to dodge their simultaneous attack. A second wave of elemental attacks arrived moments later. A raging fireball consumed another first-order zombie, incinerating several regular zombies beside it. In the blaze, the wind blade followed right after, cleaving the skull of yet another first-order zombie before slicing dozens of ordinary zombies in half. As its force faded away, Wen Yan's pressure eased drastically. He seized the opening and cut down another first-order zombie. With only 3 left standing, his shoulders relaxed slightly. A few more exchanges passed and he beheaded another first-order zombie. Liu Shui's panicked shout echoed from behind him. The fireball grazed his body and detonated beside him. His gaze cut through the horde of zombies and locked onto Jiang Jishuan, who wore a cold grin. Warm currents coursed through his body, rapidly mending his injuries. Zhang Hao's voice crackled through his helmet comms. "That bastard Jiang Jishuan has us surrounded." His fury boiling over Wen Yan ground out a reply. "Keep your sister safe." The last 2 first-order zombies charged at him mindlessly once more. He lowered his visor again, gripped his battle blade tight, and pushed off the ground with all his strength, cutting down the nearest first-order zombie in one stroke. The final first-order zombie pounced straight at him. He sidestepped its lunge and drove his blade through its skull from behind. He sprinted back toward the teaching building, and another fireball materialized in Jiang Jishuan's hands. Hurtling toward him, Jiang Jishuan's group of boys held several girls at knife point with fruit blades, leaving Liu Shui's team frozen. Afraid to make a single reckless move, Jiang Jishuan held a swirling fireball aimed directly at Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao stood rigid, combat gauntlet raised, shielding his sister behind him as he stared down Jiang Jishuan. Jiang Jishuan pushed his glasses up his nose and smiled at Wen Yan brethren. "You wouldn't want something bad to happen to your friend, would you?" Wen Yan to draw his plasma pulse pistol and put a bullet through his skull. but several hostages stood between them, blocking any clear shot. "Toss your blade over here, or your friend will—" He never finished his sentence. Zhang Hao suddenly burst forward, swinging his combat gauntlet hard at Jiang Zhishuan's torso. The glowing tip of the combat gauntlet slammed into his chest, unleashing a powerful burst of concussive energy. Battle blade raised and charged into the crowd like a tiger unleashed among sheep. Blood sprayed and bodies crumpled wherever he passed. Liu Shui could not bear to watch any longer and shouted, "Jiang Zhishuan is already dead. Stop killing them." Wen Yan paid her no heed. A cold mantra repeated in his head. Mercy toward enemies is cruelty to yourself. When Wen Yan ignored her warning, a wind blade materialized in Lu Shu's hand, and she roared, "I told you to stop!" Wen Yan eyed the wind blade wearily. He doubted his current armor could withstand its cutting power. He drew his pulse pistol from his waist and opened fire in steady bursts. "We'll see whether your wind blade strikes faster than my gun." Crimson plasma beams erupted from the pistol. Even those not killed instantly collapsed to the ground, screaming in agony before succumbing to their wounds. After an internal struggle, she dispersed the wind blade hovering above her palm. Staring at the litter of bodies on the floor, Lu Shu demanded angrily, "Why did you kill all of them? Jiang Zhishuan is already gone." Zhang Jia, who had been hiding behind Zhang Hao, doubled over against the wall and retched violently. She had seen countless zombie corpses back at the facility, but never such a pile of dead human bodies. Wen Yan stared down at the pistol in his grip, his heart heavy with conflicting emotions. This weapon had never slain a single zombie. Every shot had been used against other people. He left Zhang Jia to recover and checked his remaining energy points. Current energy points, 213. He guessed each first-order zombie granted somewhere between 10 and 20 energy points. Item, multifunction combat helmet energy required for magical refit. Item, ecosystem combat helmet. Intelligent ecosystem description. A combat helmet equipped with a fully integrated self-sustaining ecosystem. It insulates the wearer from all harsh external environmental conditions. It houses an intelligent combat operating system controllable entirely via brainwave signals. He did not favor only his own gear. He used energy points to refit Zhang Hao's leather armor and helmet as well. Energy points could always be earned again. He mentally pulled up the upgrade panel. Item, mineral water energy to upgrade packaging. 1 point energy to upgrade effects. 1 point energy to upgrade functional properties. 1 point energy for full magical refit. 5 points. Current energy points, 63. He selected all 3 upgrade options, curious to see what the enhanced packaging would look like. Item, oxygen-rich electrolyte water. The ordinary plastic bottle in his hand transformed into a container crafted from nano-antibacterial material, a diluted distillation of the spring of vitality. He refitted 2 more bottles of mineral water into vitality-restoring drinks and handed them to his companions. "It'll get your energy back fast." They took the bottles. Once Zhang Jia looked steady again, Wen Yan spoke up. "I used to envy your long blade, but my combat gauntlet's pretty awesome, too." Wen Yan smiled and praised him. "No joke. Your blow against Jiang Zhishuan turned the whole tide. Without that crucial strike, we'd still be trapped under his control?" Zhang Hao scratched his neck modestly. "It's only possible because you gave me such great gear. And gee." They chatted a little longer before swarms of zombies appeared ahead on the upward stairwell. Snapping their jaws and lurching toward them, Wen Yan led the way, his battle blades sweeping wide. Hardly any zombie could withstand a single strike. Zhang Hao covered their rear. In the middle of their formation, Zhang Jia held the pulse pistol Wen Yan had given her, scanning the horde constantly for first-order zombies. The pistol's greatest strengths were its complete lack of recoil, firing speed far exceeding conventional firearms, and near immunity to environmental interference. After eliminating several first-order zombies, they reached the girls' dormitory safely. The stairwell entrance was blocked by piles of clutter. Wen Yan's blade cut through the mess in minutes, clearing a path forward. He sprinted upstairs, knowing exactly where his sister's dorm room was. The room lay in complete disarray, as if ransacked thoroughly. Wen Yan tightened his grip on his battle blade, his mind flooding with nightmarish visions of his sister coming to harm. Zhang Hao and Zhang Jia caught up behind him, both sharing his sinking premonition. Your sister's quick-witted. He searched dorm room after dorm room, all the way up to the 6th floor. My brother will hunt every last one of you down. Your brother's probably dead out there somewhere. Right. You can put up all the resistance you want. Fury blazed through Wen Yan. Upon hearing his sister's voice mixed with the mocking jeers of other men, he raised his battle blade, ready to split the door open and slaughter every person inside. A shrill cracking scream from his sister cut through the air before he could strike. A dull crash echoed up, followed by silence. A shocked male voice came from inside the room. Wen Yan snapped out of his shock and rushed to the doorway to peer inside. His sister hovered suspended midair, bloodshot eyes wide, her clothes rumpled and hair swirling wildly around her. Little sister, it's me, your brother. His sister froze, recognizing the familiar tone of his voice. You're safe, Wen Yishu cried for a long while before her emotions steadied. She pulled back from his embrace, wiping her tear-streaked cheeks, and stared curiously at the leather armor covering his body. It looks so cool, Wen Yan smiled. I forged it with my ability. I'll make a matching set for you later. Wen Yishu nodded obediently, remembering her display of power, he asked. By the way, what ability did you awaken? Wen Yishu tilted her head and thought for a moment before answering. I think it's telekinesis. My mind can lift and move objects through the air. Wen Yan's eyes lit up. Telekinesis was an incredibly powerful ability in every novel and film he had ever seen. Wen Yishu closed her eyes and focused all her energy. Fine beads of sweat dotted her forehead as the heavy metal bunk bed wobbled off the ground and hovered unsteadily in midair. Zhang Hao and Zhang Jia wandered up the stairs after hearing the commotion. Zhang Hao gaped, pointing at it in shock. Did you build some new fancy weapon? Wen Yan laughed and clarified. That's my little sister's ability. From now on, she can lift all of us off the ground if we need to escape fast. Zhang Hao gave her an admiring thumbs up. Your power is insane, little sister. Wen Yishu looked slightly flustered and greeted Zhang Jia. Hello? Hello, Sister Jia. Zhang Jia smiled warmly back at her. Go search the other dorm rooms for blades like fruit knives. I'll forge a set of weapons for my sister. Zhang Hao nodded and headed off to search the neighboring rooms. Wen Yan pulled the spare helmet and leather armor he had set aside for his sister from his backpack. He refitted the leather into scaled armor identical to his own and upgraded the helmet into a full multifunction combat model. After finishing the upgrades, he checked his energy reserves once more. Current energy points 66. He handed the helmet and scaled leather armor to his sister, telling her to put them on and try them out. To forge more powerful modified equipment, he needed far superior base weapons. His pulse pistol had been upgraded from a plastic toy handgun. If toy guns could be transformed into real firearms through modification, could he work the same magic on movie prop models? The thought took root and swelled in his mind. His next destination was Hanga department store downtown. Just then, his sister stepped out. Wen Yan chuckled and teased her. My little sister has really grown up. Wen Yishu removed the helmet and smiled softly. At that moment, Zhang Hao walked in clutching several fruit knives and a bag of snacks. He set everything down on the table with a grin. Seeing Zhang Hao return, Wen Yan laid out his plan. Fewer people lingered there, so it should be safer. Zhang Hao remained optimistic. These zombies can't stand a chance against the military. Ordinary survivors will probably have to wait 2 or 3 days, since mobilizing heavy weaponry takes time. I believe these zombies will evolve at an alarming rate. There were no first-order zombies when the apocalypse broke out. I expect their numbers will surge even more tomorrow. A heavy sense of danger settled over the group. His sister asked anxiously, can the military contain this disaster? Wen Yan shook his head. It's unlikely. Firearms will lose their edge over time, and supernatural ability wielders will become the main line of defense. He shifted gears abruptly. Little sister, your girl's dorm couldn't have only had you trapped back then. Why were you alone? Wen Yishu let out a bitter laugh and explained. Before the male students arrived, all the girls in the dorm banded together and cleared every zombie inside the building. Wen Yan fell silent. It had been his message telling her to wait for him in the dorm. Before dusk falls, we'll head to the cafeteria to grab more food, and I'll help you get more familiar with your ability. They pulled out water and rations to eat. While Wen Yan picked up one of the fruit knives, Zhang Jia brought back. He mentally summoned his upgrade panel. Item fruit knife. Energy required for material upgrade, 3 points. Energy required for sharpness upgrade, 3 points. Energy required for functional upgrade, 3 points. Energy required for custom modification, 15 points. Current energy points. He selected each upgrade one after another. First, the material upgrade. The knife grew heavier, its plastic handle morphing into solid metal, and the blade thickened considerably. Next, the sharpness upgrade. He suspected the sharpness upgrade did more than just hone the blade. It seemed to permanently maintain its cutting edge. He activated the final functional upgrade. Not a single whoosh of wind could be heard. He checked the updated item panel. Item Shadow Dagger description. A hidden button jutted from the end of the handle. He pressed it. The blade began vibrating at an extremely high frequency. The blade cut through the steel door as if it were paper. Even his scaled leather armor would not block a strike from this weapon. Item High Frequency Vibrating Shadow Dagger. Description. A shadow dagger equipped with high-frequency vibration function. He crafted 2 more standard shadow daggers without the vibration modification, then handed all 3 to his sister, explaining their unique properties in brief. He then modified a super energy bar and passed it to her with a smile. Wen Yishu nodded and tucked it into her pocket. Wen Yan glanced at the time. 4 in the afternoon. Dusk would arrive in just over an hour. Let's go clear out the zombies outside. Each of them slung their backpacks on and exited the dormitory. They reached the ground floor. They spotted several zombies wandering the open courtyard. Wen Yishu focused her mind, and 2 shadow daggers flew out of her backpack. In a matter of seconds, the creatures lay dead, with her leading the way toward the cafeteria. Nearly all zombies were pierced through the skull by her floating daggers before they could draw near. First-order zombies, lurking in the shadows, recognized they were outmatched and stayed hidden. We've cleared all the zombies outside. Can you open up? Muffled whispers came from within. She blurted out, "What's with those weird outfits?" Another carried a strange pistol at his waist, and the third gripped an odd staff. Wen Yishu's expression turned tense. 3 shadow daggers hovered silently in the air around her, while Wen Yan tightened his grip on his sword's hilt. The air crackled with tension until the young man hurled his condensed air blast at a stray zombie wandering behind. "Zhang Hao, stop intimidating them. Even if we fought, we might not beat them anyway." Zhang Hao rolled his eyes. "I'm Lin Xinran. I was napping in my dorm right before the apocalypse hit and woke up to this chaos." He's actually a decent person deep down. Lin Xinran led them to the small convenience store counter inside the cafeteria, chattering without stopping the entire way, leaving the 4 visitors little chance to speak. "You can grab some food, but don't take too much." Wen Yan nodded. Their own supplies were more than sufficient. Zhang Hao's backpack alone held rations that could last 2 full days. Wen Yan asked Lin Xinran, "What's your group's plan?" "Are you waiting for government rescue?" Lin Xinran shook her head. Lin Xinran stared curiously at their gear. "I crafted all of it with my supernatural ability. It's enough to block zombie attacks for the most part." Lin Xinran looked at him with undisguised admiration. "Your ability is amazing. By the way, do you have a partner?" Wen Yan flushed slightly at the praise and shook his head. Wen Yishu frowned and muttered quietly beside him, "She's just laying it on thick to get something from him." Lin Xinran pretended not to hear the comment, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Wen Yan. Wen Yan briefly thought, she was rather endearing. Lin Xinran stared at him with a dejected look. "Then, could you forge a weapon for me to keep as a memento?" He pulled a fruit knife from the convenience store, turned his back to her, and upgraded it into a shadow dagger. "But you have to tell me what your ability is in exchange." She agreed without hesitation, having no reason to hide her power. "Once shifted, my strength and speed both greatly increase." As she spoke, her pupils narrowed into vertical slits. "It outperforms every regular cold weapon we've seen so far." Several young men urged Chun-Lei to demand goods in exchange for letting them leave, but Zhang Hao ignored them. They were merely bitter about the group taking some food, yet none were foolish enough to act as their pawns. Once they stepped outside, Zhang Hao nudged Wen Yan and whispered in his ear, "Hey, that cat ear girl back there. You didn't feel any attraction. One hit from her could crack your skull open." Zhang Hao clicked his tongue and muttered quietly. Wen Yishu thought for a moment and said, "The shots are coming from the faculty dormitory complex." Wen Yan frowned. The only people likely to possess firearms right now We're military troops. We might be able to make contact with the army. No one objected, and the group set off toward the gunfire. The closer they drew, the more zombies crowded the surrounding area. They reached the faculty dormitories. They saw a squad of roughly a dozen soldiers huddled at a stairwell entrance, surrounded by hordes of zombies, including multiple first-order variants. Wen Yishu recognized one of the people the soldiers were protecting. That's our school principal over there. After a quick assessment, Wen Yan resolved to lend aid and issued orders. Little sister and she provide long-distance support. Zhang Hao and I will charge in to evacuate them. He drew his broadsword and charged forward first, with Zhang Hao close behind, gripping his combat staff and angling its tip toward the ground. Every swing of Wen Yan's heated broadsword cut down multiple zombies at once. The blade burned hot enough to cauterize wounds instantly, leaving no blood splatter behind. Any zombie it touched collapsed on the spot. The two quickly carved out a clear safe zone. Any first-order zombies hiding to ambush them were precisely eliminated by WIS and Zhang Jia from a distance. They had fought tooth and nail to escort Doctor this far. Every time they fired their guns, the noise drew even more zombies. So, they'd been forced to rely mostly on melee combat. It was not long before every zombie in the vicinity had been wiped out. Wen Yan and Zhang Hao walked up to the soldiers, lifted their masks, and saluted. The lead soldier relaxed slightly and returned to salute. I'm platoon leader Xiaogang from the mobile battalion. Wen Yan glanced past him at the white-haired doctor. Do you have a larger unit coming to rendezvous with you? A full regiment will pass through the evacuation zone tomorrow. Relief washed over Wen Yan upon hearing this. The military hadn't fallen, and they still maintained control. I know another group of survivors nearby, including 2 ability wielders who are waiting for military rescue. With these powerful ability users backing them, their chances of completing the mission would rise dramatically. We're extremely grateful for your offer. I don't know all the details, but I've heard he's a leading expert in energy research whose work could uncover the root cause of this apocalypse. Wen Yan nodded thoughtfully and asked no further questions. The path ahead was nearly clear of zombies, and they reached the cafeteria doors unhindered. Commotion erupted inside, and Lin Xinran pulled the door open. Zhang Hao stood beside her, complaining. Don't think you can take more supplies this time. Take a look at who we've brought with us. Lin Xinran gasped. The authority Zhang Hao had built up over this period took effect, and the crowd gradually fell silent. Wen Yan's group filed inside, and the large gates slammed shut afterward. Only then did Zhang Hao ask urgently, did the military come to rescue us? Once they finished ironing out the plan, Wen Yan left the cafeteria instead of heading straight back to the dormitory. He returned to the faculty dormitory building once more. Shinli's group would surely suffer casualties during the rescue operation, and there was no way they could retrieve every fallen soldier's gear each time someone died. Sure enough, Wen Yan spotted a dead soldier lying in a third-floor hallway and stripped all usable equipment off the corpse. His haul included 1 pistol, 1 assault rifle, 3 grenades, and a combat knife. The 4 returned to their dorm room and bolted the door, the distant snarls of zombies drifting faintly through the walls. He pulled up the door's upgrade panel. Item: hollow wooden door. Energy required for material upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for modification, 50 points. Current energy points, 236. He selected the material upgrade option. The wooden door transformed into a sturdy security door that looked impenetrable, and running a hand over its cool metal surface filled him with a surge of safety. Wen Yan arranged a rotating night watch for the 4 of them. He would take the first shift, followed by Zhang Hao, Zhang Jia, and Wen Yishu. In turn, he grabbed a travel backpack and opened its upgrade panel. Item: travel backpack. Energy required for material upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 10 points. Energy required for modification, 50 points. Current energy points, 226. Wen Yan selected all 3 standard upgrade options, then checked the updated item stats. Item: survival backpack. Item: biogenic backpack decomposer. Description: the backpack's lining is woven with bioactive enzyme fibers. Any organic matter stuffed inside leaves, insect carcasses, zombie fragments. Will break down into high-density nutrient paste within 2 hours, stored in a silicone food pouch sewn into the inner lining. Wen Yan's eyes widened, barely holding back a gasp. This thing could turn zombie flesh straight into edible paste. The only hurdle would be overcoming the mental revulsion. The triple reaction boost they granted mid-combat was far too valuable to pass up, and handed one to Zhang Hao. He reworked the leather jacket Zhang Jia wore into scaled combat armor and upgraded her helmet into an ecological battle helmet. The combat helmet could rapidly mark first-order zombies amid hordes, a massive tactical advantage for her fights. He checked his remaining energy points afterward. Current energy points 18. These energy points burned through far too quickly. Early the next morning, Wen Yishu, finishing the final watch, shook Wen Yan's arm. Wen Yan stirred awake, rubbing his blurry eyes. So Wen Yan shook him again and repeated the line. Zhang Hao jolted upright in a panic. Sangha, since when have you had a partner? Wen Yishu covered her mouth to stifle giggles. 2. Zhang Hao finally caught on. Staring flatly at Wen Yan with a dark expression, they reached the cafeteria entrance, encountering only a handful of aimlessly wandering zombies along the way. The convoy assembled quickly. Wen Yan's squad and 2 ability users led the way as vanguard. While the soldiers secured the flanks and rear, the group reached the school gate. Wen Yan spotted more than a dozen girls fending off a zombie horde with iron rods and broken desks. A female ability user stood at their front, slaying zombies one after another with slicing gusts of wind. Several first-order zombies lurked within the horde, ambushing the girls from behind with every opening, claiming one victim each time they struck. Some girls wept openly from fear and grief, yet kept swinging their makeshift weapons all the same. Wen Yan instantly recognized this as Liu Shui's small group and shouted, "Hurry! Go help them!" He charged headlong into the zombie swarm, sending chunks of undead flesh flying everywhere. This group is heading to link up with the military, and so Wen Yan's convoy gained another ability user. He turned back to the battlefield. Lin Shinran weaved through the zombies like a nimble cat, her shadow dagger slitting a zombie's throat with every pass. Zhang Hao fought with brutal simplicity. Every punch unleashed compressed air with devastating force, caving in zombie skulls. A first-order zombie tried to sneak up on Zhang Hao. Its claws halted mid-strike by an invisible wall of air. The dozens of zombies were wiped out in short order. Wen Yan intended to clear every zombie they crossed, both to stockpile energy points and let these survivors sharpen their combat skills. He reached the SUV they'd left parked nearby and pulled up its upgrade panel. Item gasoline SUV. Energy required for material upgrade, 200 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 200 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 200 points. Energy required for modification, 1,000 points. Current energy points, 368. Wincing at the cost. He selected the material upgrade. To test its reinforced frame, he drew his combat blade and slashed hard at the car door. A harsh metallic shriek rang out, leaving only a deep scratch across the panel. Wen Yan was thrilled with the result. That blade could slice clean through a first-order zombie's neck with ease, yet barely marked the vehicle's surface. From Xiao Gang's account, Professor Chen was a leading energy science researcher, and his expertise might unravel the truth behind the apocalypse. He told Xiaogang to escort Professor Chen into the SUV first. Make sure you return it later. Professor Chen paid no mind to the conversation, entirely fixated on the vehicle. They cut down swarms of zombies as they traveled. If someone looked down from the sky, they would see endless masses of zombies completely encircling their position. Wen Yan began to sense that something was off. Zombie density kept climbing, and first-order zombies made up an ever larger share of the horde. Meanwhile, more zombies poured in by the second. He pulled out a pistol and opened its upgrade panel. Energy required for material upgrade, 100 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 100 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 100 points. Energy required for modification, 500 points. Current energy points, 1203. He selected all 3 standard upgrades, then took aim at distant zombies and fired. He aimed at the dense zombie horde and pulled the trigger. A grenade-sized projectile launched from the muzzle, passing straight through one zombie before detonating. Satisfied with the firepower, stronger even than Zhang Zhixuan's fireballs. He checked the modified weapon stats. Item: high explosive grenade. Hand cannon. Description: a seamless fusion of grenade launcher and pistol, retaining the handgun's portability, pinpoint accuracy, and manageable recoil while packing grenade-level destructive force. Each 5 grenade rounds consume 1 energy point, yet more zombies surged from the rear, forcing Zhang Hao and Lin Xinran to rush back to hold the rear guard. As the horde swelled, even the 2 powerful ability users began to falter. Determined to turn the tide, Wen Yan pulled a grenade from his backpack and opened its upgrade panel. Item: fragmentation grenade. Energy required for material upgrade, 20 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 20 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 20 points. Energy required for modification, 100 points. Current energy points, 483. He skipped minor testing and upgraded and modified it to its maximum potential in one go. Item: gravity grenade. He opened a comms channel to Wen Yishu through his helmet, then handed her the gravity grenade and told her to use her telekinesis to hurl it into the massive zombie horde at their rear. Guided by invisible mental force, the grenade arced toward the undead mass like a guided missile, and landed dead center. Wen Yan checked his remaining energy points and frowned. He hadn't gained the massive surge of points he'd expected from the blast. Could there be a maximum distance for energy point absorption? He reconnected to Wen Yishu's comms. Wen Yishu, carry me to the edge of the crater. Energy points began spiking rapidly once he closed to roughly 100 ms from the blast zone. The influx stabilized only after he landed at the crater's edge. Current energy points 1093. He lifted his gaze to the far side of the crater and caught sight of a figure with a skull twice the size of ordinary zombies lurking furtively. Wen Yan's pupils constricted. A sentient zombie. He locked his gaze on the creature while drawing his hand cannon from his waist in one fluid motion. The sentient zombie sensed mortal danger and darted left and right through the undead crowd to evade sight. Yet, one shell landed directly beside the sentient zombie. A shrill, agonizing shriek cut through the air. Shrapnel tore a gash across its face. With the sentient zombie gone, no more undead poured into the fight. Wen Yan told the entire group about the intelligent mutant, sparking widespread shock. None could believe zombies had evolved since so quickly. After bidding the convoy farewell, Wen Yan's squad set off toward Hangha department store. They encountered very few zombies along the way. Wen Yan suspected the sentient mutant had drawn most of the horde elsewhere. The squad reached Hangha department store without incident, where dozens of ordinary zombies roamed the interior. Wen Yan told everyone to split up and scavenge supplies, using their helmet comms to contact each other if trouble arose. He judged that even a surprise attack from a first-order zombie posed no real threat to his well-equipped squad. Wen Yan headed alone for the cinema on the 4th floor, reaching its entrance without a single first-order zombie crossing his path. Yet all misgivings vanished the moment he laid eyes on the humanoid mech model he'd been eager to find. He opened its upgrade panel. Item: metal mech model. Energy required for material upgrade, 500 points. Energy required for design upgrade, 500 points. Energy required for function upgrade, 500 points. Energy required for modification, 500 points. Current energy points, 11564. Upgrading a tiny mech model cost an astronomical amount of energy. The mech model blurred, swirling currents of mysterious power wrapping around its frame. 5 full minutes passed before the transformation finished, revealing a brand new silver-white mech with sleek aerodynamic plating, a glowing blue diamond energy core embedded in its chest. Single upgrade consuming over 1,000 energy points detected. System initiating automatic upgrade. All core functions disabled during system upgrade. Energy point collection remains active. System upgrade countdown 24 hours. He looked forward eagerly to the new features the upgraded system would unlock. He removed his helmet and stowed it in his backpack, then climbed into the mech cockpit and synced the squad communication channel to the machine's onboard radio. The second the channel connected, Wen Yishu's panicked shout crackled through the speakers. A second-order zombie is attacking me. I'm on the 2nd floor inside the MB clothing boutique. He slung his backpack over one shoulder and sprinted down the stairs, speaking into the mech's comms as he ran. This is almost certainly retaliation from that sentient zombie we encountered earlier. One minute earlier, Wen Yishu was leisurely browsing high-end clothing. She spotted a heavily muscled zombie lunging straight for her at blistering speed. She pushed the zombie away with her mental power while pulling herself backward with the same ability, narrowly dodging the attack by a hair's breadth. Seeing its strike fail, the second-order zombie retreated rapidly. Zhang Hao's voice crackled through the channel. There are several first-order zombies here. Wen Yishu's first instinct was that another zombie had appeared, and surges of telekinetic power welled up around her. She saw the figure encased in silvery mech armor. She froze for a split second. We'll link up with Zhang Hao and the others. Wen Yishu nodded. A surge of telekinesis lifted her off the ground. Yet, Wen Yan, standing beside her, didn't shift an inch. Confused, she poured more mental energy into her power, only to meet total resistance. Brother, this mech of yours weighs an absolute ton. Wen Yan scratched the back of his neck sheepishly. I'll work on swapping out the heavy frame first thing tomorrow. The two jumped straight from the upper floor. Wen Yishu drifted gently down to the basement level, while Wen Yan landed far less gracefully. Boom. A deafening crash rang out. The armor absorbed the entire impact without a scratch, yet the tile beneath him spiderwebbed with cracks. A second-order zombie is bearing down on your location. He burst into the supermarket just in time to see the second-order zombie leap high. Its razor claws swept straight for Zhang Jia. Zhang Hao watched the scene in helpless rage, powerless to intervene. Wen Yan had already raised his right arm, and the grenade launcher mounted on his mech locked onto the evolved zombie. At this critical split second, an arrow cut through the air, slamming precisely into the zombie's attacking claw. The strike veered wide, missing Zhang Jia entirely. The moment the zombie landed, a grenade blast sent it flying. A thick stench of burnt flesh filled the air. The impact zone on its body blackened and charred. Without pausing to question her presence, Wen Yan charged forward to confront the injured zombie, drawing the combat blade sheathed at his waist. Zhang Hao sprinted over as well, gripping his tactical combat device, eyes fixed unblinkingly on the monster. Wen Yishu hadn't even reached the scene yet, but floating throwing knives controlled by her telekinesis arrived ahead of her. Zhang Jia raised her plasma pistol, aiming steadily at the second-order zombie, her heart hammering against her ribs. Its claws could pierce your protective gear. A zombie virus infection would spell disaster. The evolved zombie let out a deafening roar and lunged straight for Wen Yan. Wen Yan let out a cold huff and slashed downward with his blade. The zombie caught the weapon in one claw while swiping its other hand toward his chest. The blade met unexpected resistance. Instead of slicing clean through flesh, it was clamped fast. The claw clutching the blade began to melt and bubble from the weapon's corrosive energy, but the zombie's free hand raked several deep gashes across Wen Yan's armor plating. He raised his left arm and fired another point-blank grenade blast. Deep weariness flickered in its eyes, and it darted sideways past Wen Yan, desperate to flee through the gap. A shadowy dagger silently streaked toward its skull. The blade pierced straight through the zombie's hand. The zombie twisted its head, and the dagger sliced a gash along its cheek as it narrowly avoided a fatal head wound. The zombie crashed face first onto the concrete floor. Wen Yan vaulted high, landing squarely on its back, driving his combat blade down toward its skull. The monster thrashed wildly, clawing at the embedded weapon. The blade sank inch by inch into its cranium until the zombie struggles ceased entirely. A translucent crystalline core rolled onto the ground. Wen Yan picked it up, realizing this had to be the energy core hidden within a zombie's brain. The crystal nucleus. Unfortunately, his system was currently offline, so he couldn't pull up item stats. He lifted his mech helmet and walked toward the archer woman nearby. I tagged along after you everywhere as a kid. I thought you died saving me from that kidnapper. Lin Xueqing thought back for a moment. That small-time criminal couldn't hold me captive for long. I escaped on the way to wherever he was taking me. Wen Yan fell silent for a beat, then spoke flatly. You really were such a sweet kid back then. Wen Yan's expression turned dark. Cut the teasing. Sister Qing, would you join our squad? Lin Xueqing agreed without hesitation. Wen Yan pulled his spare tactical helmet out of his backpack and handed it to her. Sister Qing, this is an ecological combat helmet? Their 4-person squad officially expanded to 5 members. Wen Yan made an immediate decision. Head for the rooftop. That has to be the main military convoy arriving. Multiple armored vehicles could be seen advancing steadily forward, while thousands upon thousands of zombies surged relentlessly toward the military formation. Wen Yan hesitated inwardly, weighing whether to head toward the troops. Tagging along with the main army would undoubtedly earn him massive energy points. Yet, it also meant being swarmed by endless hordes of zombies, cranking the danger level to its peak. After careful deliberation, he resolved to go first. Zombies were evolving rapidly, and conventional firearms would likely grow less effective over time. Lastly, many of his weapons had already hit their upgrade caps. He needed to collaborate with the military to gain access to higher-grade armaments and bolster his squad's combat strength. He stripped off his scaled leather outer armor and passed it to Lin Xueqing, then donned the heavy mech suit beneath her curious gaze. Avoid drawing the attention of first and second-order zombies. If the horde turns and surrounds us, we won't stand a chance. The 5 crept stealthily toward the rear of the military convoy, encountering only scattered straggler zombies along the way. Any lone zombies they crossed paths with were eliminated silently. They stepped carefully over fallen undead as they advanced. Every so often, a half-dead zombie would suddenly twitch and stretch its arms out to grab them. Wen Yan mentally checked his reserves. Current energy points 385. They reached a shadowed corner close to the military lines, watching waves of hundreds of zombies crash against the soldiers' position ahead. The shells detonated, tearing countless zombies to pieces. The surviving creatures kept charging forward, only to be mowed down by machine gun fire mounted on the armored transports. Wen Yan's helmet broadcast a repeated announcement. We're a civilian survivor squad, friendly forces. They dispatched a handful of stray zombies and easily reached the front line of the armored column. Zhang Hao offered a reassuring smile. Relief washed over the soldiers upon seeing their unmarked human faces, though they kept their weapons raised, remaining vigilant. Our commanding officer requests an audience with all of you. Wen Yan nodded, and the group followed him to an armored command vehicle. I'm Commander Liu, brigade commander of the local garrison brigade. We've long heard word of a capable combat team operating out of Ranching First University. As he spoke, his gaze swept over their equipment, lingering longest on Wen Yan's striking mech armor. Greetings, Commander Liu. That said, rather than formally enlisting in the military, I'd prefer to strike a cooperative arrangement. Commander Liu's smile never faded, but the adjutant standing beside him frowned, his tone sharp with disapproval. If humanity can overcome this apocalyptic crisis, we'll happily remain loyal citizens of our Federation. Commander Liu held up a hand to quiet his adjutant, choosing not to dwell on the comment. Young man, outline your terms for this cooperation. Moving forward, we can establish a formal trade partnership for weapons and other critical resources. He drew his combat blade to demonstrate its cutting power. As he finished speaking, Commander Liu fell into thought for a moment before agreeing. We won't require your combat assistance for the time being. Report to the superhuman ability user transport bus first. Wen Yan was surprised by how readily the commander conceded to his proposal. He nodded his thanks. To prove our good faith, I'll share all the intelligence we've gathered on the zombies. He recounted everything they'd learned about first-order zombies, evolved second-order variants, and intelligent undead leaders. Commander Liu's expression turned grave once the report ended. The rate of zombie evolution far outpaces our military projections. Wen Yan waved off the gratitude and gave a slight bow. It's no trouble, Commander. With that, the group exited the command vehicle and followed a soldier to a separate passenger bus. The 3 superhuman ability users they'd met back at the university were also seated aboard. Jiang Zhishuan and his 2 companions spotted them and stood to greet the squad. Lin Xinran hurried over, running a hand lightly over Wen Yan's mech plating. Brethren, this armor is incredible. When will I get a suit like this? Wen Yishu gently guided her hand away, smiling to redirect the conversation. Can you explain the current setup of the convoy? Lin Xinran nodded and filled them in. The convoy split into 4 groups: military troops, ability user transports, elite survivor caravans, and regular civilian survivor vehicles. This bus belongs to the ability user division, housing every person with awakened powers we've rescued. The 5 found empty seats to settle into, and Lin Shinran continued detailing the other ability users on board. That blonde guy controls light energy. He has to channel light for ages just to take down a regular zombie. Her tone sharpened at the mention of him. I warned him if he tried using his power to peek at anyone, I'd neutralize his ability entirely. Lin Shinran chattered on. He checked his energy point balance again. Current energy points 1365. Joining the military convoy had absolutely been the right call, letting him passively accumulate energy points without stopping. The convoy traveled onward for some time, fending off several subsequent zombie horde assaults, though each wave grew smaller in size. They hadn't spotted a single first-order zombie in the later skirmishes, let alone rare second-order variants. More rescued survivors joined the convoy as they advanced along with one additional ability user. He boarded without uttering a word, quietly claiming an empty seat. The military's rescue operations proceeded smoothly, and word spread that the main convoy planned to turn back for their base once their sweep route was complete. A second male ability user boarded the bus a short while later. He had a slender, fair frame and carried an air of quiet stability, his eyes sharp and alert. Wen Yan checked his energy reserves once more. Current energy points 1956. His unease had swelled to an unbearable level. He stepped off the bus, channeling power through his mech to launch himself onto the vehicle's roof. Zombies still surged toward the front military lines, the intelligent zombie leaders hiding in the shadows. His brows knitted tightly as he watched soldiers escort dozens more rescued survivors into the convoy's ranks. The intelligent undead were waiting for the military to gather every last survivor in one concentrated cluster before striking. A chill ran down Wen Yan's spine at the realization. Take me straight to your commanding officer at once. I have critical intelligence he needs to hear immediately. Wen Yan quickly climbed back onto the command vehicle before Commander Liu could speak. He took the initiative to say, Commander, these zombies are massing their forces. An officer protested. Aren't you overthinking this? Leaving aside whether intelligent zombies even exist? We haven't spotted a single second-order zombie yet. If what you say is true, what course of action do you recommend? Wen Yan pondered for a moment before replying. Deploy all ability users to the front lines in advance. This plan carries nothing but benefits. Commander Liu nodded and approved the proposal. Orders were issued at once, and every ability user moved to the front line. Standing by, ready for battle, even Wen Yan began to second-guess his judgment. It was at that very moment that a new wave of zombies appeared, staring at the magnified feed displayed inside his helmet visor. Wen Yan's pupils constricted sharply. He could clearly see that half the creatures weaving through the horde were first-order zombies. He had no way of knowing if second-order variants lurked among them. Yet the sheer proportion of first-order threats alone was terrifying enough. Once enough zombies clustered together, mortars would open fire to blast them apart? Wen Yan roared at the top of his lungs. The zombies are launching their full assault. Wen Yan could only watch helplessly as the zombie tide advanced to within 100 meters. Mortars positioned in the rear unleashed a volley of shells that slammed into the horde, sending countless ordinary zombies flying apart. Yet, the first-order zombies only sustained minimal casualties, scattered evenly throughout the mob. They drastically reduced their exposure to the blasts. The first-order mutants reached the 100-meter mark. They suddenly burst into a sprint, dodging behind ordinary zombies to shield themselves from gunfire. They charged straight for the soldiers manning machine guns atop the armored vehicles. Wen Yan shouted again. All long-range ability users engage now. He drew his grenade pistol and fired without stopping at the undead, closing in within 100 meters. A storm of superhuman powers erupted alongside him. Razor wind blades, concussive air punches, fully charged energy beams, and more. Beyond his convoy's ability users, 3 uniformed military espers unleashed their powers as well. One commanded lightning, crackling bolts leaping from his palms. Every strike that seared through a zombie's skull brought an instant death. Any zombie that reached the barricade met a single crushing blow to the cranium, unable to so much as scratch his skin. Wen Yan thought the situation was under control until his gaze drifted inadvertently to the rear of the zombie horde. 3 towering figures had materialized out of nowhere, each standing no less than 5 damolars tall, with rippling corded muscle. Wen Yan dubbed them Titans. Gunfire stalled entirely. save for a small group of ability users unaffected by the blast, who kept cutting down incoming zombies. The ground was pockmarked with craters, dozens of battered first-order zombies still staggering forward, and over a dozen second-order variants crawling out from piles of corpses in the rubble. The 3 Titan zombies were covered in mangled, charred flesh. Yet, they kept advancing at a steady run. One sniper locked onto a second-order zombie head. Several soldiers hefted portable rocket launchers and aimed at one of the Titans. The remaining rockets slammed into its torso one after another, tearing fresh, bloody craters into its already mangled body. It let loose a thunderous roar, snatched several surviving first-order zombies off the ground, and stuffed them into its maw. Its muscles rippled and writhed beneath its skin, and its wounds knitted closed at a visible rate. Wen Yan gasped in shock. These Titans were monstrously overpowered. By this point, the dozen second-order zombies stood less than 100 meters away. Wen Yan yelled through his headset, "All ability users, charge with me." He switched to his squad's private channel and spoke to Zhang Hao. After issuing the order, he drew his combat blade and charged forward first, Wen Yishu hot on his heels. Close behind them followed the 3 military espers, plus 3 ability users from First University. Wen Yan slashed at the nearest second-order zombie, which pulled up a length of steel rebar and swung it to block his blade. Wen Yan took advantage of the opening to hack off one of the mutant's arms, then drove his blade toward its skull. The shadow blade pierced its skull, spilling blood and dislodging a crystal core that floated automatically into Wen Yan's backpack under telekinetic control. Having eliminated that second-order zombie, he rushed onward to engage the rest. The lightning esper crackled with static, locked in brutal close combat with another second-order mutant. The earth esper encased himself in hardened stone armor, summoning multiple stone spires to pin a second-order zombie to the pavement. Cracked spiderweb across his stone armor, but it regenerated instantly as he rejoined the fight. The physical enhancement esper matched the second-order mutant blow for blow. Off to one side, Zhang Hao faced off against another second-order zombie. His concussive air punches sent the mutant reeling backward, and an invisible air barrier wrapped around his body left him completely invulnerable to counterattacks. Her wind blades could wound, even decapitate second-order zombies, and a lean, gaunt man sheathed in translucent bone armor, wielding a jagged bone blade that materialized in his grasp. The second-order zombie's claws only left faint scratches on his bony plating, while every slash of his blade bit deep into the monster's flesh. The final second-order zombie was held at bay by a group of remaining espers. A tiny blade of grass burst through the asphalt, shooting upward to grow into massive vines that coiled tight around the mutant's limbs. Zhang Jia raised her plasma pistol and fired a shot straight at the trapped zombie skull. Wen Yan slew another second-order zombie and lifted his gaze to the 3 advancing Titans. The giants hoisted wrecked cars from the roadside, using them as makeshift shields to absorb a constant barrage of heavy weapons fire. A lightning bolt that appeared to veer off course struck the second-order zombie, locked in combat with the physical esper. Among the First University trio, Zhang Hao sent a second-order zombie flying straight above Liu Xue's position. A razor wind blade sliced through its neck, severing its head from its torso. The strength esper snapped another mutant's neck with a single punch, while the bone esper drove his bone blade deep into a monster's eye socket. The light manipulation esper finished charging his power and loosed a searing energy beam that pierced the skull of the mutant charging Zhang Jia. Wen Yan quietly ordered Wen Yishu to slip through the carnage and collect the crystal cores from the fallen second-order zombies, telling her to eat a combat energy bar to sustain her stamina for the prolonged battle ahead. Wen Yan bit into a combat energy bar, his mind sharpening as the nutrient boost surged through his system. He stared grimly at the 3 Titans and activated his mech's overclock mode. Overclock mode doubled energy consumption, boosted movement speed by 50%, and amplified the palm cannon's firepower by 30%. He had never tested the mech's integrated palm cannon before. Raising one hand, he fired at the exposed ankle of the nearest Titan. The Titan roared, hefted a severely crumpled wrecked car overhead, and hurled it straight at Wen Yan. Instead of dodging, Wen Yan retracted his combat blade. Resolved to test the mech's maximum load capacity, he tossed the wreckage aside without effort. But the Titan was already charging, swinging a massive fist straight at his torso. Wen Yan was sent flying several meters backward, slamming hard into a concrete wall while the Titan stood unshaken where it was. He drew his combat blade again and charged the Titan once more. He capitalized on the opening to slash the Titan's calf, sending the massive creature stumbling to one knee. He sprinted to the Titan's head, leaped high, and drove his blade down toward its skull. The blade stuck fast in its forehead, blocked by impossibly thick bone. The Titan swatted him aside with one palm, sending him crashing through the wall of a nearby building. The fallen Titan was already pushing itself back upright, while the other two continued bearing down on the defenses. It lifted an armored troop carrier with both hands and hurled it at a machine gunner firing up at it. He drove his blade straight into its eye. He pulled his blade free and turned to assess the field, without sustained heavy weapons fire holding them back. Swarms of regular zombies and scuttlers were drawing dangerously near. The fortifications had been smashed to ruins by the rampaging Titans. The remaining espers fought to contain the other two giants, aided by Wen Yishu's telekinesis. Every time a Titan landed a killing blow, her powers shoved the espers out of harm's way. Wen Yan spoke into his squad channel to Wen Yishu. Wen Yishu, their weak point is their eyes. Wen Yishu froze for a split second, her telekinetic hold faltering at the revelation. The Titan seized, swatting him into a brick wall. Wen Yishu snapped back to focus, resuming her telekinetic support to stabilize the fight. Wen Yan charged straight for the second Titan, rampaging through the defensive line. He fired a palm cannon blast at its skull, and the giant raised an arm to block instinctively. He leaped to atop the fallen Titan's skull, gripped his blade with both hands, and drove it deep into its eye socket. As he pulled the blade free, Wen Yishu seized her own opening and drove a high-frequency pulse dagger into the monster's other eye. Wen Yan surveyed the shattered barricades and the zombie horde less than 100 meters out. He let out a quiet sigh. A soldier rushed over and handed him a walkie-talkie. First, he thanked Wen Yan's squad for their critical support. Without them eliminating the Titans, the entire survivor convoy would have been wiped out. The main force would split into several smaller detachments, each leading a contingent of survivors to break out along separate routes. Wen Yan agreed without hesitation. The strategy made perfect sense. A single intelligent zombie could not coordinate assaults on multiple scattered groups at once. Before signing off, he laid out a list of requested armaments: 1 mortar, 1 armored vehicle, 2 heavy machine guns, and additional supplementary ordnance. Commander Liu fell silent for a moment before granting every request. The value of the elite survivors far outweighed the cost of the weapons. Commander Liu assigned the 3rd Battalion to his command and loaded all requested weaponry into the storage compartment of an armored carrier. Multiple artillery barges suppressed the zombie advance once again. The majority of the horde consisted of ordinary undead, cut down in waves by the army's fully automatic machine gun fire. The main convoy reached a crossroads. 2 battalions split off to break out along the side roads, drawing a large portion of the zombie mob away and drastically easing pressure on the remaining troops. Notably, as Wen Yan's detachment prepared to depart, Lin Shinran requested permission to join his squad. They quickly pulled away from the horde of zombies surrounding their convoy, with only small scattered groups of mutants attacking along the way, clearing an unobstructed path forward. White-haired professors, formally dressed corporate executives, and a world-famous national female singer among others. I am the ability user tasked with escorting you to safety. At that, one executive smiled and chimed in. We will do everything in our power to keep you safe. Professor Chen, whom he had met back at the university, was not among them. The professor rode in the modified SUV Wen Yan had upgraded, traveling alongside Commander Liu's main unit, and Commander Liu showed no intention of returning the vehicle to him. Wen Yan grabbed the walkie-talkie and shouted, "All units alert! Massive numbers of mutated creatures surrounding us. Prepare for combat." He quickly drew his grenade launcher, locking his gaze on the glowing eyes all around them. Hordes of mutated rats, roughly the size of domestic cats from before the apocalypse, swarmed out from every nook and cranny. The continuous crackle of gunfire echoed without pause. Su Wanxin stared out the window at the soldiers fighting for their lives. Some were tackled to the ground and torn apart by the rat swarms. Others, surrounded with no escape, pulled the pins on their grenades and charged into the hordes, sacrificing themselves to take down as many mutants as possible. Tears rolled down Su Wanxin's cheeks as she watched. Even she squeezed her eyes shut. The soldiers' screams and roars reverberated in her ears. Every brutal scene, every desperate battle cry crashed against the worldview she had held her entire life. A tangled storm of emotions surging straight to her heart. The floating notes gently lifted her body off the seat. A melodious tune echoed out, accompanied by her ethereal female voice. Smoke blurs my eyes, my fingers still trembling softly. The growls all around swallow cries for help. Yet you grit your teeth, refusing to fall? Wen Yan, locked in battle amid the rat swarm, jolted at the sound. He cleaved a pack of lunging mutated rats clean in half with one slash of his blade, then sprinted toward the source of the singing as fast as he could. A young soldier watched his squad leader pull the pin on his grenade and charge unflinchingly into the rats, tears streaming down his face. Overcome with rage, he raised his machine gun and fired wildly. He hurled the heavy weapon hard into the rat horde, his gaze falling to the grenade clipped to his belt. He resolved to follow his squad leader's example, fingers wrapping around the grenade's handle. Just as he prepared to pull the safety pin and rush into the swarm, Su Wanshin's gentle healing voice reached his ears. He released his grip on the grenade, grabbed a spare rifle lying nearby, and rejoined the fight with renewed vigor, her long hair drifting softly in the air. Your figure never retreats, burning bright against the dark tide. All the pain you swallow clogs your throat. Fear not. I stand right by your side. As Su Wanshin sang, the soldiers' flagging morale steadily climbed back up. What's more, the scarlet glow in the mutated rat's eyes slowly faded away. Su Wanshin's song continued to flow. My right hand holds the wind's gentle warmth. Let the evening breeze carry all your tears away. I will stand guard over every ounce of your courage. As the melody wrapped around him, the internal injuries Wen Yan had sustained fighting a Titan mutant began to mend slowly, and his drained stamina steadily recovered. The scarlet light in the mutated rat's eyes vanished completely. Wen Yan stood frozen, staring at the scene before him. Once the rat swarm fled, Su Wanshin fell silent, and the floating notes around her gradually dissipated into thin air. Su Wanshin shook her head with a soft smile. I need to talk to you about something later, though. Su Wanshin gave a slight nod, and Wen Yan turned away. The moment he left, the other passengers crowded around her, showering her with praise and bombarding her with questions about her ability. Su Wanshin ignored them all, wiping the sweat from her forehead and closing her eyes to rest. Wen Yan left to find the battalion commander and asked about the unit's casualty report. The commander's gaze darkened with sorrow. If Su Wanshin hadn't awakened her ability today, none of them might have survived besides himself. He spoke to the commander. The battalion commander nodded in acknowledgement and hurried off to resume command. Wen Yan checked his current energy point tally. Current energy points 4906. He finally had enough energy points for the mech modification. He brought Su Wanshin to the empty back compartment of an armored vehicle and smiled at her. Miss Su, would you be interested in joining our squad? Su Wanshin met his gaze directly and asked only one question. Will you be the one to save this world? Su Wanshin suddenly broke into a bright, genuine smile. Curious. He tilted his head and asked, by the way, why did you ask if I'm the savior? Su Wanshin answered earnestly. Wen Yan fell silent. Is this the instinct of a true genius? He led Su Wanshin over to the armored vehicle assigned to his squad. She climbed aboard. Lin Shinran reacted the most dramatically, shaking Wen Yishu's arm excitedly and squealing. Huh? It's Su Wanshin. She pulled a pen out of her backpack, holding it out to Su Wanshin with sparkling eyes. Su Wanshin, could you sign my clothes for me? Su Wanshin took the pen and smiled gently. Lin Shinran gestured casually to the front of her jacket. Su Wanshin did as she asked, writing her signature neatly across the fabric. Wen Yan shook his head with a quiet laugh and stepped out of the vehicle to find the battalion commander and finalize their travel route. He pointed to the map spread between them. Commander Liu, we're roughly 30 kilometers from the main base. Even without delays, the drive will take at least 2 hours. Traveling through the night is far too risky. I suggest we find somewhere to camp for the night and resume our journey at dawn tomorrow. Commander Liu nodded, tapping a large supermarket marked on the map. Wen Yan collected several chunks of dead mutated rat flesh and placed them inside his biological storage backpack. This was his first time using the item. The moment the meat entered the bag, its surface shifted faintly. The flesh slowly softened and dissolved as the backpack's internal mechanism digested it. The space was completely empty. not a single zombie in sight. Wen Yan silently praised Commander Liu's judgment. It was truly an ideal shelter. I just saw a multi-legged shadow dart past. A multi-legged mutant. A giant spider or mutated ants. Wen Yan checked the time. 7:00 in the morning. He also glanced at the system's upgrade countdown. System upgrade countdown 4 hours and 40 minutes. He dabbed a small amount onto his finger and tasted it. He paid the backpack no further mind afterward. Their squad had more than enough food supplies to spare. As they reached the garage exit, they found the entire passage sealed shut by thick spider silk webs. Giant spiders the size of millstones crawled across the webbing. Lin Shinran tugged Su Wanshin's sleeve nervously. Su Wanshin? Can your singing drive these spiders away? 2. Su Wanshin gave an awkward, polite smile and shook her head. Spiders are cold-blooded creatures. Lin Xueqing's usual cheerful expression faded into rare gravity. She stepped in front of Su Wanshin, shielding her with her body. Don't worry, Su Wanshin? Su Wanshin looked softly at the girls standing guard before her. More mutated spiders crawled out from every shadow, surging toward them in a dense mass covering the floor and ceiling, completely cutting off their retreat. Have your men create a wall of flame around our perimeter to block the spiders. Commander Liu quickly relayed the order to his soldiers. Zhang Hao responded with a slightly troubled expression, walls of blazing fire springing up to hold the mutated spiders at bay. He activated his flame-edged battle blade and charged forward at the head of the group, firing his grenade launcher left and right to blast swarms of spiders apart, tearing gaping holes through the thick silk webs. Wen Yan's assault stirred the spider horde into a frenzy. Every mutant clinging to the webbing swarmed down to attack them en masse. Realizing the grenade launcher's firepower was limited against such vast numbers, he holstered the weapon and wielded his flaming blade with both hands in rapid sweeping strikes. Every spider that drew near was sliced into pieces. Their 8 sharp legs scraped across Wen Yan's armored suit, leaving only faint white scratch marks on the reinforced plating, though dozens of mutated spiders crawled all over his body. The armor shielded him completely, and he pressed steadily forward without pause. Wen Yan lifted his gaze. A colossal mutated spider, nearly 5 meters in length, crept across the thick silk strands. The smaller spiders covering Wen Yan shifted their attack strategy. Instead of slashing at his armor with their legs, they began spitting thick streams of silk, attempting to bind him tight. His mech's powerful hydraulic frame could stand toe-to-toe with a Titan mutant. After all, ordinary spider silk could never restrain him, but just as he neared the webbing blocking the exit, he suddenly felt immense resistance dragging at his armor. He tried slicing the bindings with his battle blade. Zhang Hao and Lin Shinran cut down any spiders that slipped through the fire barrier. Wen Yishu rushed to stabilize wounded fighters and minimize casualties. Lin Xueqing and Zhang Jia provided long-range fire support. Su Wanxin stood apart, layered support of buffs over the entire squad, floating slightly off the ground amid swirling musical notes as her ethereal song echoed in every fighter's ears. Listen, the final war drum beats loud within my veins. I stand atop the rubble, igniting notes of hope. Do not let your eyes fall shut, my warriors. Let my voice be your blade and your shield. Free from the webbing. He darted between the spider swarms like a dancing butterfly, never giving them a chance to ensnare him again. Wen Yan charged straight into the massive wall of spider silk against his flame-wreathed battle blade. The thick webbing tore as easily as paper, splitting open a gap 2 to 3 m wide. He'd even entertained the thought of recreating Xiaoyan's legendary 7 charges through enemy lines. He reached the center of the web barrier. The giant spider above loosed a stream of venom directly at him. He dodged just barely, but a glob of thick green slop splattered across his armor plating. As the first stream of venom landed, dozens more mutated spiders unleashed their toxic secretions toward him. Still, more venom splashed across his leg plating. The toxin could not penetrate the armor, yet its adhesive strength rivaled industrial superglue. Fear and frustration surged back into his mind. Enraged, he drove his flaming blade into the ground, activating the palm-mounted energy cannons built into his armor and firing without stopping at every spider preparing to spit venom. Crimson energy beams blasted through the mutants, felling one spider with every shot. Su Wanxin finished a verse of her song, and her voice rose into a powerful, soaring crescendo. Let every heartbeat roar like warhammers striking steel. Your blades shall cut through every foe in your way. The rousing song reverberated deep in everyone's hearts, stoking blazing fervor within them all. The flames from the Molotov cocktails had dimmed, flickering as if they would sputter out at any moment. While more mutated spiders swarmed through the fire, he braced his heavy machine gun, the weapon spitting continuous fire as he strafed the horde of mutated spiders relentlessly. Then the soaring melody cut through the chaos. Warmth flooded his heart, spreading down through every limb. Fueled by newfound vigor, he hoisted the machine gun higher and fired without pause. This same transformation washed over every fighter on the field. It soothed her discomfort and continuously replenished the energy drained by her abilities. Peering through the torn spider silk, Wen Yishu spotted Wen Yan trapped and surrounded. She landed at the front line of the battle, where her psychic reach could cover Wen Yan. Focusing her power, she stripped all toxic venom off his mech suit. He twisted around and wrenched the battle blade embedded in the ground free. No force in existence could stand in his way without facing his blade. Ignoring the mutated spiders poised to spray venom down from the silk strands above him, he swung his blade repeatedly, slicing through the tangled webbing all around. Wen Yishu split her focus 3 ways at once, blocking venom streams aimed at Wen Yan. Slaying venom, she used shadow daggers to cut down venom-spitting spiders and cutting down any spiders that lunged toward herself. Su Wanxin's cheeks glistened with sweat after singing without stopping for so long, and the musical notes swirling around her gradually faded away. Lin Xueqing caught her and guided her onto an armored vehicle, fueled by Wen Yan's unrelenting assault. A clear path was quickly carved through the spiderweb, allowing the whole group to flee the basement. The swarm of mutated spiders chased after them, driven frantic by the sunlight, their attacks growing wilder and more ferocious. After pursuing the group a short distance further, the spider horde retreated like a receding tide. He drew in a sharp breath and clapped a heavy hand on Battalion Commander Lu's shoulder. The Federation will remember every one of them. Battalion Commander Lu nodded numbly. Wen Yan briefly mapped out their onward route with him before the group pressed forward again. First-order zombies grew far more common along the road, matching the number of ordinary undead. Overall, zombie numbers had thinned drastically, however, and not a single second-order zombie crossed their path. One detail struck him as strange. Though the ground outside was littered with zombie corpses, no living undead laid siege to the walls, a stark contrast to the all-out zombie blockade they'd anticipated. Yet, if massive swarms of high-level undead, like Titan zombies, appeared, it would spell catastrophe for all living people. Wen Yan had no plans to take refuge inside the facility. He left his armored vehicle and all its stored weaponry for Battalion Commander Lu's unit to use. As they entered the shelter, Battalion Commander Lu retrieved a satellite phone from the vehicle and handed it over. He walked Wen Yan through the device's operation, then boarded his armored truck and departed without further words. Wen Yan watched their convoy enter the military shelter before climbing into his own armored vehicle and driving off. His destination was the nearest luxury villa district, the perfect temporary base of operations. Their journey remained smooth, not a single second-order zombie crossing their path. They arrived at the villa compound gates without incident. They had no choice but to venture inside and explore. As the group stepped into the compound, Zhang Hao grinned at Zhang Jia beside him. Lin Xinran grabbed Su Wanxin's arm, shaking it excitedly. Su Wanxin, we're going to live in a villa together. Wen Yishu wandered about wide-eyed with curiosity, while Su Wanxin and Lin Xueqing, both born into wealth, remained far calmer and composed. Wen Yishu reacted first, detecting the blue figure the instant it entered her psychic radius. She only had enough time to yank Su Wanxin sideways with her powers. The attacker was a mutated parrot, grown to the size of a full-grown eagle. Wen Yan raised his arm to counterattack when 2 more figures lunged out from either side, charging toward Zhang Jia and Lin Xinran, respectively. Wen Yan moved to shield Zhang Jia, but a massive python suddenly burst out from a hidden corner and struck at him instead. Corrosive stomach acid sizzled against the exterior of his mech suit, eating away at its plating with a harsh fizzing sound. Wen Yishu's anxious voice crackled over the helmet comms. "Brother, are you all right?" Wen Yan reassured her. "I'm fine. Its stomach acid can't break through my mech armor." With that, he activated his battle blade, gripped the hilt tightly, and stabbed hard into the soft stomach wall surrounding him. The blade sank, and like a stick plunged into thick mud, slowly tearing open a jagged gash. The python outside writhed violently, overcome by searing agony. Outside the python, the rest of the group got a clear view of the two new attackers. They saw a mutated golden retriever lunging for Zhang Jia and a mutated Maine Coon cat targeting Lin Xinran. Zhang Hao stepped between Zhang Jia and a golden retriever wielding his combat staff. He activated the weapon and swung it hard at the charging beast. The blow sent the mutated dog stumbling, and it flew into a rage, tackling Zhang Hao to the ground, its jaws slashing to tear him apart. Zhang Jia reacted instantly, drawing her plasma pistol and firing. Streaks of plasma burned dark charred holes into the golden fur of the mutated retriever. Racked with pain, the dog released Zhang Hao, snarling furiously at Zhang Jia. It charged her again. The mutated retriever closed the distance fast, lifting its massive paw to swat her down. On the other side, the Maine Coon cat clashed with Wen Yishu and Lin Xinran. The mutated cat boasted a towering frame and lightning-fast reflexes, yet the mutated dog's strength was overwhelming, and her barrier could not fully absorb its strikes. The cat had only toyed with her prey rather than delivering a killing blow, buying her just enough time to survive. Zhang Hao stared at his motionless sister sprawled on the ground. He screamed her name repeatedly over the squad communication channel. After losing both parents, only Zhang Jia remained. Though they used to bicker constantly, they grew far more considerate and understanding of one another, supporting each other through every hard day. His gaze locked rigidly onto the mutated golden retriever before him. Rage and hatred burned away all rational thought, one single thought echoing endlessly in his mind. He charged toward the mutated retriever, which had paused to lick its plasma burns. The mutated dog collapsed to the ground, dazed and disoriented. Zhang Hao rained blow after blow without pause. Yet Zhang Hao remained blind to its cries, driven solely by unbridled fury as he struck again and again. High above, the mutated parrot dove once more, setting its sights on Su Wanxin. Lin Xueqing loosed arrow after arrow at the diving bird, yet the parrot evaded every shot with effortless ease. Just as the parrot closed in on Su Wanxin, glowing musical notes swirled around her body, a beautiful melody resonating outward. The parrot missed its target again, circling midair in a furious rage, squawking curses without stopping. The parrot dove down a second time, this time targeting the wounded Lin Xinran. Before it could land an attack, the Maine Coon cat, locked in combat nearby, swatted it hard, sending the parrot tumbling through the air. Shaken and infuriated, the parrot squawked insults. A mutated red fox clamped its jaws shut around the squawking parrot, cutting off its shouts instantly. The bird flapped its wings wildly in a desperate struggle, then fell completely still. After a few short seconds, the group saw the fox clearly. Then it dropped the lifeless parrot's body onto the pavement before pouncing toward the only remaining combatant, the Maine Coon cat. The fox and cat clashed in a brutal brawl. The red fox made no move to chase. Instead, it walked over to the dead parrot's corpse. The fighting finally ended. Meanwhile, the giant python that had swallowed Wen Yan lay motionless on the ground. Wen Yan tore a massive opening through its belly and climbed out from within.